The NHL appears to be getting closer and closer to a 24-team postseason play-in format here to finish out the 2019-2020 season. And it really is, and here's the dilemma with this. I think a lot of people right away can look and say, oh, you add 24 teams because what's it do? It allows the Blackhawks and it allows the Montreal Canadiens into the playoffs. Two teams that obviously have no business being in the playoffs. They sold off at the trade deadline and they're bigger market teams. They're bigger market teams. It just adds a little buzz to the playoffs. I can see that point of view. But here is the dilemma that the NHL is running into right now. You have teams like the Blue Jackets who have games in hand on teams that are within a point of them. Overall, there's 6 teams within 4 points of a wild card spot. Of the 6 teams, 4 of them have less games played than wildcard teams, and if they were to win, say, for example, the Islanders were to win, they would have more points than the Blue Jackets, and all of a sudden the Blue Jackets would find themselves out of playoffs, and you cannot just say, here you go, Columbus, here's a playoff spot. Love my Blue Jackets. Can't say, here you go, Columbus, though. Here's a playoff spot when you've played more games than a team behind you. That's just not going to work out that way. There's not a lot of integrity behind that theory there. So the NHL has to figure out a way to kind of get past that. And then you look at, the Rangers. Same story as the Blue Jackets. So they have 79 points. They're essentially out, though. You could say, well, the Rangers were going to make it. They have just as many games played. The Panthers, so they would win. They'd have 80 points. They'd still be behind Columbus. So you get into this predicament where you can say maybe there's 2 or 3 teams that are, a game or 2 in hand. You have, the Islanders. That's one of them. You look at the Islanders. There is, Vancouver. Vancouver could find themselves winning a game because Winnipeg has 71 games played, or 71 games played right now. So you look at 1, 2, 3, there's 2 teams plus in Nashville that could shake up the wild card spot over there in the Pacific. So you have 3 teams essentially that could take a playoff spot had they played 70 games. That is the problem. You can't really split up 3 games going into the playoffs. You could do 4. But if you do 4, then you're saying, well, you let this team in that was technically not going to make it if they finish at 70. You got to let this team in that's a point out as well, or this team in that's a point out. And then how far do you go? Because if you stop at 6, where you can say there's 6 teams clearly in playoff contention on both sides here combined. 6 teams, all of them with 12 games left, had a very good chance of making playoffs. You look at the Blackhawks and the Montreal Canadiens, we brought it up. They kind of sold off at the deadline. They weren't going to make playoffs. They was already committed to not making playoffs. But if you add 6 teams to the playoffs, how do you format that? It's a scheduling disaster. You can't do 3v3 and you end up with 3 teams and 3-on-3. You can't end up 3 teams down to 2 or 3 teams down to 1. And you sure as heck also, if you wanted to, balance it out, you would then say, well, you can have a 4-team play-in. But then you're saying one wildcard team makes it automatically. The other one, one gets a bye and the other doesn't, which again is a scheduling nightmare. So what you're seeing in NHL essentially say is here we'll give the 2 best teams in each division or 4 best teams in each conference, whatever way they go, a first-round bye. And then whoever wins out of the 4 teams playing in the first round or the play-in kind of make it to the second round, which as much as it's, difficult to fathom seeing 24 teams make the playoffs, it's the NHL trying to salvage a way to, conclude this season without having to play an extra 12 games, understanding it's going to be cramped in there. And at least it's the best teams. The best teams are getting the first round byes. And of every format, that is the one without a whole lot of controversy where the top 2 teams in both divisions have a pretty substantial lead for the most part. I think Edmonton's got 4 over Calgary right now. From a point perspective, though, over the 3rd place team where you can say, all right, I get it. That does look most clear and concise compared to the playoff wild card mess that is. Ultimately, though, I'm warming up to it. I was against it. I'm warming up to it, though. Canceling the season will never be an answer for me. I think if you want to see the season canceled, you're cheering for the NHL not to grow. You're cheering for them to, miss out on an opportunity here to grow the sport and get better, more popular. It's a golden opportunity. People are dying for sports. The first sport back is going to obviously draw a crowd. Any sport really in this juncture you're going to see draw some sort of crowd because everybody's thirsty for whatever sport they've been missing out on here, and canceling a season is not going to help. You're going to miss out on the revenue, you're going to miss out on the growth opportunity. That's not the answer. So hopefully 24 teams, that's the way we have to go, warming up to it.